and suddenly I'm in Quito, and this is where another little trip changes gear, I guess you could say, because I'm gonna leave my bike here for a little bit and go and meet a friend in Colombia. So I'm flying there tomorrow, and then explore without bike for about a month, come back to Ecuador, but then I'm going to fly somewhere else that I'll tell you about another time. So I'm not going to be picking up my bike from here for another 2 months. That's kind of crazy. Feels weird. But my bike is going to be very happy because it's in the company of many other bikes. I'm storing it at Freedom Bike Rental, Ecuador Freedom, Mototurismo, and it's in this garage with all their rental bikes of every type you can imagine. Some rental companies just have BMWs or just have Hondas or whatever. We've got Triumphs, a newer version of my Suzuki Vstrom. There's another Triumph Tiger there. There's some BMWs, a couple of scooters over there as well. They've really got everything here. It's quite an exciting place to be. But here's my bike. It's kind of all packed up in a way, meaning that I've unpacked it of the stuff that I'm going to need for a couple of months. It's quite weird trying to think what I need and don't need, but I think we're all sorted. Yeah, this is its home for a couple of months, and yeah, let's get off to Colombia.
Network is ready to help you with anything you need. Before leaving, make sure none of your personal belongings are left.
And first stop was Bogota, and this is a funicular railway going up the hill to Montserrat, an important part of the city, and you get a great view of the rest of the city from here. At some point there was only a church here, but as time's gone by, more and more activities have popped up around. And some great snacks too, strawberries and cream, a little bit different to the English version though. And then to the main square. It was quite strange getting a mode of transport other than my motorcycle, having only been on that for so long, but a bus was needed to get to the nearby city of Zipaquira and see a quite unique spectacle. There have been mines, and specifically salt mines, in this area for hundreds of years, and at some point in the maze of tunnels, miners made a certain area that was a sanctuary so they could pray. But in the 1950s, a full-size cathedral was built 200 meters underground. The cathedral has been built quite deep in. You have to follow a lot of tunnels to get there, but there are various monuments and other creations on the way. And of course, for a tourist site, you have to have a cafe and a restaurant. The next day it was a taxi and then another bus ride outside the city again to see something slightly more natural. Any second now, any minute now, the cloud's gonna lift and you'll see why I'm here. This is Salento del Cartagena. Just an hour or so outside Bogota. The clouds didn't end up being parted for very long, but it was spectacular enough to be worth the bus ride. And the next day it was a hop over to Pereira and then a bus up into the hills of Salento. Salento is the famous coffee region of Colombia, and there happened to be some kind of festival. However, it was nice to have some peace and quiet outside the town looking over and going on a small hike around the forests. And trying out a local drink that was strong. Bien pues. But it being the famous coffee region of Colombia, a trip to a coffee farm was essential. And the semi-traditional way of getting there is in these little jeeps, which are known locally as willies.
Hey, Boca! Échale ganas! Hola!
Hola.
The first part of the tour involved hunting for red coffee berries. Unfortunately, it was not quite the season, so most of them were very green.
And in another 45 days, we're going to see the first 2 leaves, like these ones.
We saw every stage of the coffee making process, from growing to fermenting them, sorting them, a whole load of other things.
And the lime is with the skin, and then also without the skin with the sweet, like what you taste.
The fermentation is now.
Right, my shit didn't work.
We're going to develop the taste and the smell. At this point, it doesn't smell.
I did not realize there were quite so many ways to prepare coffee beans.
Which one? The second quality.
And after seeing how the coffee is produced, how do you brew the perfect cup of coffee? We prepared different types of coffee using different methods. French press, V60, Chemex, and here is AeroPress.
But if it's like this, you are in a good way to find the specific.
Even grinding it to the correct size was important. Each cup was made to a very precise formula, the right amount of coffee, the right amount of water, left for the right amount of time. It's a science.
Because it doesn't take too quick.
It's about 100. Your name? Ooh. Your coffee, your recipe. What do you do?
I should say that I don't actually like coffee, so this was indeed a very interesting experience. I really tried to like the coffee, and maybe I could prefer one to the other, but I didn't like them really.
This method, even is beautiful and impressive, is the heat. Remember that at the beginning I mentioned that we don't use boiling water because it can intensify the bitterness in the coffee.
And then it was back into Salento, and it was a delight walking around the town and seeing all these buildings so beautifully painted, so many different colors. And then it was back to the bus station, back to the airport, and a short flight to Cartagena. Cartagena is an old city built on the coast. Such beautifully painted buildings yet again. It was particularly hot in Cartagena and on that day, but it was so wonderful walking around the city. These old buildings made up the whole of the center. In some ways it was quite touristy, but it also seemed just like everyday life was happening.
Necesito uno de los calderos. Hay nadie ni tiene nada.
Esa queda dos pesos. ¿Y cuánto vale el económico eso? ¿Cómo está?
Cartagena being on the Caribbean coast, though, means it's also famous for its spectacular beaches. It did need a boat ride to get to the Rosario Islands, but the sea was calm, so it was an easy ride. Each beach and each island seems to have a slightly different vibe. Some completely chilled out, others with some kind of music. As As the day went on, the wind started getting a bit stronger though, and this didn't bode well for the ride back. Last beach of the day, and as you can see, the waves meant that the water wasn't the clearest. However, there was still an hour boat ride to get back to the city.